Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. God bless you, Talkbox community. Listen, I'm glad to be in the house a second day. Listen, the favor of the Lord is on me because Pastor Sonja has asked me to come in here twice. Listen, the favor of the Lord is on me. May it also be on you. My name is Coach 𝐇𝐎𝐏𝐄, and you're watching the Talkbox with Sonja. This is an amazing platform that Pastor Sonja Carney has created to make sure that you guys get a fresh word every single day. Well, listen, she has been taking her sabbatical. She's taking a break. She's resting her body. She is spending time with her family. She's spending time with the Lord. She's healing and resting and being well. And all things are either well or they're getting well. Listen, all things are well. Listen, so thank you, Pastor Sonja, for allowing me to be here again. I'm very blessed to be here with your community this morning. If you're watching this live, go ahead and drop your name. Let us know you're watching live. If you're happening to be watching by replay, go ahead and let us know by putting hashtag replay in the comments. That's how Pastor Sonja can track you and stay connected with you. And how many of y'all know it's very important to show up even if you're watching a broadcast? Get on the radar of somebody. Get on the radar of people of God. I want the people of God to know who I am everywhere I go. I make sure I'm known. Coach 𝐵 Coach 𝐵 Mrs. Jones. I let people know who I am and where they can reach me because God is always using his people to do great things. So listen, if you all were here yesterday on the Talkbox, I was here as well. And we were just talking about being an influencer. We were talking about being an influencer for Christ. And so I want to kind of continue the conversation, but in a direction specifically toward women. I hope that's all right with you. Men, if you're watching, there's something you can get out of this as well because you have a woman in your life, whether it's a mother, a sister, a daughter, a cousin, a niece, a coworker. There are women in your lives, and we can all take inventory about the women in our lives. So I want to talk real quick about Ruth and Naomi. God has just given me, a little different perspective on this relationship between Ruth and Naomi. And I just want to talk about it with y'all for a few minutes. We typically listen to this message about Ruth and her Boaz, right? Ruth and her Boaz. I need a Boaz. A lot of people say, a lot of single women say, I need a Boaz. I need a Boaz. Some single men out there are saying, listen, I'm a Boaz. I'm looking for my Ruth. And that's a beautiful place and a beautiful space. But before Ruth was submitted to Boaz and laid at his feet and was able to expose herself to him, so that he could rise up and be the kinsman redeemer he was always meant to be, so that she can be in the lineage of David, who therefore was also in the lineage of Christ. Before all of that started, Ruth was submitted to Naomi. And I want to talk today about women being submitted to women. I think that it's a lost art. I think that, in this time and in this age of independence, many of us, I'm talking to myself as a woman, and I'm talking to women as well. Sometimes we get into this, who's going to check me? That saying they came out a couple years ago. Who going to check you, boo? And in certain settings, yes, I get that. You need to know who you are, know what God called you to do, and don't let anybody talk you out of that. However, we need to be in a position as women where another woman can come, not just any woman. Y'all better hear me today. Y'all better discern now, not just any woman, but women should find themselves in positions where they can submit to a godly woman, a woman that's older in age or older in wisdom. Older in age or older in wisdom. The Bible does say that the older women Paul is talking to Timothy. He's saying the older women should be really teaching the younger women. But what he doesn't say is that the younger women need to make sure they're submitting themselves to the older women. The seasoned women should be wanting to teach the younger women. But y'all know how the society and this generations are now. They don't always want to listen to older women. So when you find a younger woman, younger in age or younger in wisdom, older women, let's begin to teach. Let's begin to pour out what God has shared with us. Let's let our life speak over them. And younger women, when you find yourself in a position with an older woman who's been where you've been, don't find yourself in a space of jealousy, but find a space of submission, because the submission that Ruth had toward Naomi gave birth to her submission to Boaz. And she could not have submitted to Boaz without her willingness to submit to Naomi. So let's talk about it, y'all. In the story, Naomi and her husband, Elimelech, they were from Israel. They lived in Israel. They were happy Israelites. Listen, they loved and worshiped our God. They were God-fearing people, but Israel was in the middle of a famine, right? So in the middle of this famine, they decided we're going to go and find shelter and food elsewhere. Sometimes you may find yourself in a precarious situation and you say, you know what, we think the solution is to make a move. They got together, they prayed about it, and they decided to make a move outside of Israel into Moab. Okay? Moab is known for being an enemy to the Israelites, but Elimelech and Naomi were desperate. They were desperate. They needed food. They needed protection that Israel was not giving them, and they made a decision to go into enemy territory. The Bible doesn't go into detail about their decision making, but sometimes you can make a decision that leads to certain consequences. It just is what it is. They moved over into Moab. Moab is technically enemy territory, but there was food there. There was water there. There was shelter there. And they began to live, them and their sons. And they grew their family. And they were healthy and they were strong and everything seemed well until Elimelech died. Naomi's husband died and she encouraged her sons to take on wives. Listen, your daddy's gone. I'm a widow now. We need some help. Y'all go get some wives. Bring me some grandbabies in here. Come on, we gotta keep the family name going. Y'all go out there and get y'all some of these fine women. Now, everywhere else in the Bible, God is saying, these wives now, these aren't the wives. These wives are not the wives. Everywhere else in the Bible, these wives are not the wives. They're not the ones that you want to play with. They're not the ones that you want to be involved in. I hope y'all were able to hear me. I don't know if y'all were able to hear me. I had a call come in. I had to cut my thing off. But they went in here into Moab and they had found them some wives. These are Elimelech and Naomi's sons. They found some wives, and one of the young women from Moab, a Moabitess woman, was Ruth. Everywhere else in the Bible, God says, don't deal with these foreign women. Don't deal with them. But now they're in Moab and her husband's dead. She said, we got to do something now. Y'all go out and have some babies. So they married these women, Orpah and Ruth. They had two sons. One married Orpah, one married Ruth. And they were sweet girls. And they were good to Naomi. And she loved on them and they loved on her. But then her sons died. So listen, Naomi has been through it. She left her native country where she grew up, where she found God, where she knew God. Then she had to go over into another space in Moab, enemy territory, with her husband just to get food, water, and shelter. Her husband dies. She encourages her sons to get married and have some grandbabies and keep the family lineage going. And then her sons go off and die. So she's heartbroken. She's beyond heartbroken. She's sad, y'all. She is like lamenting. You can't say nothing to her. She's lost all the men in her life. She tells her daughter-in-laws to go on back to their mamas. Go back home to your mama. I can't do nothing for you now. Y'all sat here and saw my sons die. Y'all know my husband died. I don't have anything for you. Go back home to your mama and daddy. They persisted with her. Oh, Miss Naomi. I call her Miss Naomi because in my heart and my mind, I can see her as an older woman. They said, Miss Naomi, we don't want to leave you. We love you. Miss Naomi, don't make us go home. We love you. She said, I don't have it for you now. I'm broken. I don't have it. Go home. Orpah says, you know what, Miss Naomi, I don't want to, but I'm going to go ahead and go home. You're right. I love you. I love you. Blessings over you. But I am going to go back home to my mom and my dad. And I'm going to try to create a life. I'm going to go on. Naomi says, you can't get rid of me, Miss Naomi. You can't get rid of me now. I'm here with you. What you eat, I eat. If you cry, I cry. Where you go, I'm going. We're together now. That one act of submission changed Ruth's life. Everyone skips over to Boaz. You're skipping the good part. You're skipping the secret sauce. You're skipping the piece that is what really created the chain of events. And see, sometimes we see the glory on the trees, on people's lives, but you don't know the root of the story. The root is not Boaz. Boaz was the fruit on the tree. The root was her willingness to stay with a broken person, a broken woman who had given all of she had. And Ruth said, I'm not going to leave you while you're down. So Ruth and Naomi, they are together now. Naomi said, well, I don't know anything else to do, baby, but go back to where I'm from. So let's go back. And they ended up going back during the time and during the season of the harvest. So there was work. And so they got up in there and they're getting settled and they're getting together. And people say, oh, hey, Naomi back. Y'all know Naomi back? Yeah, I saw Naomi. I don't see Elimelech. I don't see the son. Didn't they go off to Moab and have some boys? I don't see them. What's going on with them? And she says straight up and down, listen, I'm broken. Don't even call me Naomi. Call me Mara, because I'm sorrowful. I don't have no joy. I have nothing going on. I just came home basically to come up in here and be home when I die. I don't have nothing going on, y'all. I lost everything. Everything. I lost all the men in my life. So her and Ruth get settled. And Ruth, this blessed me, y'all. Ruth, it was Ruth's initiative. See, Ruth was an instigator. Ruth was an initiator. This is why I believe that in spite of her not being from Israel, but she's in the line and lineage of Jesus, she had a different kind of heart and a certain kind of spirit that God said, I can rock with you. You're not a part of my people, but I can rock with you. I can rock with that. And Ruth said, the Bible says that she said to herself and to Naomi, I'm going to go out and find some work. See, she didn't sit around and wait for something to happen to her. She decided within herself, it's time to go and do something. Not to get a man. Y'all have to hear this. We have taught this message of Ruth and Boaz as if Ruth was out here trying to get a man and she did what she had to do to get a man. Ruth was trying to take care of Naomi. See, she was trying to stay submitted to that woman she was blessed with. She recognized that God had blessed her with a wise woman. She recognized that God had blessed her with a woman of God and that she needed to manage that woman of God right. She needed to manage that relationship well. She saw she was dealing with a depressed woman. She knew that her Naomi wasn't right. That's my Miss Naomi. And I know her. I saw her in her season. I saw her in her heyday. I saw her when her sons were alive. I know how she really is. Y'all think y'all know her? I know her before all of this brokenness. I have to go out here and help her. I have to go out here and be a blessing to her. So the Bible says that Ruth got up and said, I'm going to go out here in this field, Miss Naomi, and try to get us some money. We don't have to do what we have to do. That is when Boaz saw her. That is when Boaz located her and said, who is this woman in the field? Leave her some extra. She found favor not by trying to get the man, but by trying to honor Naomi. It was about the honor she had for the woman of God in her life. So listen here, I'm not here to tell the entire whole story, but what I will say is this. After she worked in the field, the Bible says a few of the harvest. So a harvest is about roughly, give or take, 90 days. So she had been out there in the field for a couple of harvests. So that means she had been out there for a couple of months. Let's say, with our biblical imagination, let's say about 6 months, 6 to 9 months. She out there working. After she was working, Naomi came to her and said, baby, come here. Let's put some strategy on this. You've been working and being blessed, bringing fruit in here and bringing blessings in here and allowing us to have food in here. You've been doing your part. You've been doing your part. But now it's time to add some strategy. At that point, y'all, Ruth didn't have to listen to Naomi. Woman, you don't have a husband. All the men in your life are gone. How are you going to tell me about how to get a man? I don't want to listen to you about getting a man. All the men you know are dead. See, it's the mentality that Ruth operated in that led to the blessing, and is the way she handled Ruth. Some of y'all on here need to be thinking about how to better handle your Ruth. Some of y'all in here better be listening and thinking about how you can connect to a Ruth. You may be saying, Pianza, I don't know no Ruth. Coach, I don't know any Ruths in my life. Begin to ask God to reveal her to you. Because there are plenty of women of God who are integral, have integrity in their heart. There are women of God who have something to pour into you. They may not look like they have it to give, but they have it to give. Yes, they do. They have it to offer. And so Naomi said, come on, baby, we're going to put some strategy on this. You've been working in this field for a long time. He noticed you. He gave you, a couple coins in the beginning. But listen, he's made sure you had enough for us. But we're going to take it to the next level. Listen to my instruction. And what Naomi told her, set it off. Set it off. It wasn't Ruth just doing it. It was Ruth obeying it from the mouth of her Naomi. Naomi said, listen, I'm going to have you go in there. I want you to get all dolled up, smelling good. Back in the day, they used to do the oil baths. Get them oils in your pores. Get it all in there real good. Get real good and juicy, honey. Put on something real nice. Then put the cloak over it. So you're going to go in the middle of the night and you're going to lay at the foot of the bed. She didn't say you're going to go and put it on him. Now that may seem silly and funny to you, but she's a Moabite woman. She's known for being a foreign woman who has a little something different. Listen, I can bring something to the table that these Israelite women can't bring you. Let me put it on you and show you what's really going on. But she didn't do that. She's listening to the godly instruction of a woman of God that she's never had before, because she's not from a godly nation. She's from Moab. So everything that Ruth has done up until this point is to be a blessing, to do something different that she's never done before. So she's doing everything against what she knows. Naomi says, you're going to go in there, you're going to get all fine and cleaned up, but you're going to cover yourself with this cloak. You're going to go in there at night and you're going to lay at the foot of the bed. And when the man wakes up, you're going to ask him, this is it, y'all. You're going to ask him to cover you. Y'all. That is so huge, because what Naomi is teaching her is how to have a man protect and cover you, not get him for his money. She didn't tell him to go in there and look good and smell good and ask him for some money. She didn't tell him to go in there and look good, smell good and ask him for some land. She didn't say go in there and have your hand stuck out. That's not what she said, y'all. Naomi said go in there and ask him to cover you. So she did what Naomi told her to do, the woman with no husband. She's listened to a woman with no husband trying to tell her how to get a husband. But it worked. Y'all better find a Naomi in your life. So listen. So she goes in there. He wakes up. What you got going on? What are you doing? And so she said, I need you to protect me. This is a lesson to all women. Men want to cover and protect, and women, we should be covered and protected. And if you want to get a man's attention, let him protect you. Let him cover you. Be vulnerable. Show him a space and a place where he can cover and make sure that you are safe. Because when you do that, that's when you really have him. It's not putting that on him. That's what you think it is. That's what you think it is. But when he feels like he has something to protect and cover, baby, he goes to the ends of the earth. See, when she listened to Naomi and she said, I need you to protect me, Boaz, can you extend your cover over me? Can you protect me? It woke something in him up. Y'all know that Boaz was an old man. He wasn't a young man. But honey, that young nature rose up in him. They sat on the side of that bed together and they came up with a plan. See, you need a man that's willing to create a plan with you. You think you need somebody to pay your bills, sis? It's 2023. We don't need men just to pay bills anymore. You need protection. You need covering. You need generational extension. We're on some other stuff now. And God had it tucked away in the Bible. And it all started with her listening to a wise woman. So her and Boaz are sitting on the side of the bed. Now it's 3 o'clock in the morning. They talking business. He said, okay, well, I have to do this. And if I do this, I can do that. And okay, let's get up in the morning. Let's arrange some things. Long story short, Ruth found her Boaz. And he ended up being able to go into the city gates, ask for permission, make sure he had to do his due diligence with the other elders in the land. He handled his business. He married her, and she is in the lineage of Jesus today as an ungodly woman from an ungodly nation because she listened to a woman of God. Who do you need to listen to? I'm asking y'all. I'm asking you to find a woman in your life that you need to listen to. God will provide. God is faithful to provide a woman for you to listen to. God is faithful to provide instruction and vision when you want it. Some of us don't want it. And some of us are ready. So if you're ready, just type ready in the chat. Listen, I'm ready. I'm a woman. I'm telling you right now, I'm already married, but I still need a Naomi. Because what God set in me is generational. What God is doing in you is generational. So this message is not only for single women who want to be married. This isn't just, it's not about that. It's about finding your Naomi to connect you to your next assignment, to the lineage of your children, to the protection of your bloodline, to the extension of what God gave you. That is what this is about. And you could be married or single and still have that. You may not even want a husband right now. Okay. You still need a Naomi in your life to open up the instruction for you to follow. Listen, if you are a Naomi, begin looking for your Ruth. Begin looking for your Ruth. Sorry, y'all. I had a little bit of technical difficulties. Listen. Get in here and find your Ruth. If you are a Naomi, if you're an older woman of God and you know God has something for you, don't discount it because you're not in that season anymore. You may not have a husband now, but you had one. You may not have a business now, but you had one. You may not have that ministry that you used to run now, but you had one. You still have the knowledge. You still have the wisdom. You still have the insight. And if you don't have nothing else, this is to my Naomis out there. You have the wisdom of God in your mouth that can take a Ruth to her next level. It's not over for you. It's not about age. It's about obedience. So listen, this was for all the Ruths and the Naomis out there. Listen, we got to find each other. We have to find each other. We need each other. This was the Talkbox with Sonja. My name is Coach Piangela Jones. I was blessed to be here. Thank you so much. If this was a blessing, all we ask is that you share it.
Share the talk box with Sonja, with somebody that needs to hear this message. There was somebody that needs to be blessed with a Naomi or a Ruth. Send it to, if you know a Naomi in the spirit, send it to her. If you know a Ruth in the spirit, send her to her. But no matter what, if this blessed you, pay it forward and pass it forward. Pastor Sonja will be back before you know it. My name is Coach P. Angela Jones. I was blessed to be here. Y'all stay blessed. Love y'all.